Sunset ladies in hot water. This was going to be an epic story for our Clatsop County voices. My name is Mary Blake, and I must say it's a privilege to say I was the general manager for the Sunset Empire Park and Recreation District from 1984 to 2012. It was in 2001 that the district was doing a very, very wonderful, big expansion to Sunset Pool. Well, this expansion was almost $1 million. It was going to be doing wonderful things like expand the locker room and do daylighting systems, new energy-efficient lights, and all sorts of wonderful things. But we didn't have quite the money to actually build our warm water pool, our hot pool, so to speak, to get all of our community into hot water and all the benefits of what that hot water does. So, as the general manager, I was sitting at my desk one day. Actually, it was October 1st, 2001. It was a Thursday afternoon. I had just gotten back from Rotary, and I got this telephone call. Ring-a-ding-ding. I answered it, and it was Pat Bradley, one of our ladies' exercise class women. She said, "Mary, the girls and I all know that you were always trying to do fundraisers to help get good projects funded." And I said, "Yes, Pat, we are. We always are working on that." And she said, "Well, we understand that you're short on trying to raise money for the warm pool, and that's what we would like to see. So the ladies and I have an idea. We would like to do a fundraiser for you." And I thought, "Really? What kind of fundraiser, Pat?" And she said, "A calendar." I said, "Oh, great. A calendar. I've always wanted to do a calendar for the district." She says, "Well, it may not be the calendar that maybe you might think it might be." And I said, "What does that mean, Pat?" She said, "Well, we saw on 60 Minutes the women from England who did a naked ladies calendar." And I said, "What?" "Yes, it was covered on 60 Minutes, and they saw it, and they are inspired, and they would like to do a naked ladies calendar to get into hot water." And I thought, "You have women who will bear it all to get into hot water?" And she said, "Yep." And I said, "Well, you know, Pat, this is something that sounds absolutely intriguing, but it really does and would need the approval of my board of directors. So we have a board meeting next Tuesday, so if you can write this up in a letter, and I will present it so they don't think it was me trying to coerce you, we'll see if we can make this happen." So Pat and the ladies wrote a letter. I took it to the board. My board questioned it. And it was going to be the ladies that will determine all the parameters of the event. Yep, it was going to be for people, or for women, and I mean that, for women only, from the ages of 60 to as if they are coming into the pool. So GLAD was 93. So we had women from the age 60 to 93. All sorts of different sizes, shapes, backgrounds, personalities, all sorts of stuff. And I said to myself, we'll see who shows up when we start to do the filming. So we needed to find the best photographer out there, so we got Lisa Lamping. She was kind of questioning as far as, well, who will determine the quality of the pictures or the context of the pictures. I said, that will be the ladies. Anything will be reviewed by them, and they will be the ones that do the final approval. So we closed the pool one day, covered the windows with paper, and asked the ladies to show up with all their little guests and things that they're going to wear to sort of do the cover-up. So they weren't just butt naked, but certainly getting pretty close to it. So one by one, they entered the pool. These women have been there for 40 years and more. They started with the pool. They had surgeries together. They had grandchildren and children together. They had deaths and births. Everybody from all walks of life. We had a mayor. We had administrators. We had teachers, housewives. We had the whole gamut, grandmas, great-grandmas, and we were ready to hear her story. The empowerment, the leadership, the strength, the courage, the friendship, and the deep, deep beauty and love for their community by doing a fundraiser and bearing it all. Yes, indeed. The women came out in their suits, and so we started setting up the like little banners so they would stand behind it and drop their shoulders, and it looked like they didn't have their suit on. And then finally, a couple of them were saying, well, when do we get to take our suit off? And I thought again, well, you mean like really bear it all? Some of the ladies had never gone skinny dipping before. And they were just giddy about it. So we started to move around to the different sets, and from the hot tub that usually holds 5 or 6 or 7 people, we jammed in 24 women, sitting on each other's laps, squished in there, having fun, laughing all the way. We got into the big pool, throwing off our suits. And then we got into different scenes and sets. Yep, 12 different scenes for the 12 different months. The American flag, the cookie fundraiser, all the special themes that the women had come up with. So we were trying to be secretive about this whole gig. We didn't want anybody to know. Some of the women didn't even tell their husbands, let alone their families, that they were going to bear it all for a fundraiser. No, this was too wild and a little bit of a stretch for a lot of them. So we were very secretive about it, but word got out. The press found out, and not only did our local press pick it up, but the United Press, the Associated Press, and the network TVs in Portland. So we decided that we were going to do this all local. So we took all the pictures, we had all the proofs, we put it all together in our local printing shop, LaserQuick, started to print them. So we figured we would do pre-sales, not knowing how much or how many that we were going to be able to sell. Our goal was to raise $10,000 to help with building that warm pool, and that would be about 1,000 calendars. Well, before you knew it, all these women kept on coming in. I need another 10. No, Mary, I need another 25. No, we need 5 more. And it was before we could possibly imagine the success of this. It got picked up not just in the Portland area, but almost worldwide. We got a contact from a magazine called Blitz, and that was from Munich, Germany. They sent somebody over to interview the ladies, to be able to tell their story on why they would bear it all to get into hot water together. And each story was completely different, but the friendship and the deep love of community was always an underlying theme. So we went to Portland. They showed up on 4 different TV shows. They were invited to Columbia Sportswear, where Gert Boyle absolutely loved them up because she too was an exercise lady in the Tualatin Hill program. So she suited them up with a rain jacket so they all looked like they were part of the same tribe, all with their Columbia Sportswear rain gear. And then Maggie Boulay, a very, very popular Oregonian reporter as well as TV star, interviewed them. And also, Old Wives' Tale, Holly, the owner, said, if you get them, we'll get them there. So between Gert and Margie and Holly and all of our local folks, we were able to put out 7,000 calendars that went worldwide, raising over $70,000, which got us into some of the best hot water with some of the best stories. Our centerfold was Glad Supley, 93 years old, laying on her float with nothing but rose petals on her. So for anybody and everybody, we invite you to play at your local pool, because from cradle to grave, it's a place of belonging, a sacred, sacred place where we do find ourselves vulnerable, but we have great dignity and resilience, courage to be seen, and grateful for the times and the relationships and the friendships that we meet from fellow community members. They were moved to action for fun. They were confident, brave, curious, and empowered. Our Sunset Ladies got us all into hot water and would encourage you to continue to make some of those waves. Thank you.